Hi everybody, welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today I'm joined by Oliver Stauffer, who is the CEO of PTI, which stands for Packaging Technologies and Inspection. And we're going to be talking about closed container inspection testing, or CCI testing for short. So first of all, Oliver, how are you?
Doing very well. And you?
Very, very good. I wish I was able to stand like you and have lots of space to walk around, though.
Yeah.
You look far more comfortable than I do at this moment.
Yeah, I'm on the production floor here at PTI, and we actually closed the office for the day since everyone stayed healthy for COVID. So I gave them this Friday off. So I'm the only one here today, and I have the whole place to myself.
So what a nice boss you are, giving them a long Labor Day weekend. Then that's what you do, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. The goal was to stay healthy. Everyone had to socially distance and really stick by the rules. And if we did that, that's great. It's great for everyone. So,
Fantastic. All right. Look, so
yeah.
now before we start talking about CCI testing, I think it'd be really interesting for people to know a bit about the history of PTI. How did the company start? How did it develop? Over the years as well.
Yeah, so I'm the second generation in this business. It started back in the 80s, and
Right.
our father, he started it distributing leak testing equipment, and then starting in the 90s, he started manufacturing his own container testing systems. It really was focused on plastic containers. So,
Right.
you talk about oil jugs, anything that's a blow molded container. We still make those systems. There are probably a few over my shoulder somewhere, but certainly we've evolved as a company, made a lot of really great technologies since then. So we have 5, building on a 6th technology that we're bringing into house. So really cool stuff. And so our father, he started that, and I joined back in 2005 with the business. So the evolution of the company is just one of focused on really developing sensory technologies.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking back though, why did you feel that looking at closed container inspection was so important, leak testing was so important?
I don't think we knew it was so important as much as our clients knew it was important, and we just followed the objectives and the needs of the marketplace. And so as clients continued to say, hey, there's a need here, PTI would step up and develop a technology. One thing that's a great example of that is back around the turn of the century, it was flexible packaging. So
Right.
you saw a lot of flexible packaging, food in pouches, and our father, he said, hey, we have to figure out a way to inspect these. And soon after that, he developed a patent for airborne ultrasound. This is a crazy idea, to focus a beam of sound down to a millimeter focal point and measure the strength of that sound on the opposing side of that seal. And based on the strength of that signal, we can tell if the seal is actually bonded, if you have a good seal or not. That's crazy, but we're doing it. And we've been doing it for the better part of 20 years. We're really the only people in the market that do it. It really is now one of the best technologies for Tyvek and porous packaging for medical devices. So, the story has in the past been, what do people want to do? What do they need? And then we sort of ask ourselves what's behind it. The secret sauce behind inspection is it's all about signal noise ratio and energy, right?
Right.
We're,
Okay.
we're applying an energy to something and measuring a response. And every type of inspection technology, even if it's vision inspection, that's light energy. And you're measuring the response, which is what color comes off of it, what's reflected off of it.
Right.
And controlling the energy that you're applying, understanding what you're measuring. All inspection technologies involve applying some sort of measurement or some sort of energy and measuring the response. That's what we've been doing. And so every time there's a challenge ahead of us, we say, how can we apply a certain energy and measure it? And you keep discovering sensory technologies that way.
Fantastic. Look, so you said you're second generation. So when did you become CEO of the company?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it may be 2015. Around 2011 is when I took over as COO and was de facto CEO for a couple of years as well. And the official title might have been in 2015. But it's been almost a decade now since I've been driving the bus in a way. So, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so let's look at the pharma sector in particular. What have you seen in terms of that area, in terms of the changes within CCI testing technology, and how has technology evolved over that time?
Well, it's really the advent of the technologies are available. They've been there, but the need for better control, data integrity, and just understanding that the methods that we apply today or
Yeah,
have been applied, the status quo, just really isn't as good or as reliable as one would want. And that's in understanding that we've also applied newer technologies to make it more sensitive.
right.
So you can't see it to the right, left of me here. We have one of our next generation Veripack 465s. That thing is now leak testing down below 1 micron with vacuum decay. No one's ever done that with vacuum decay or any vacuum-based test system. So the need has been there. The need
Yep,
for data integrity, the need for sensitivity,
right.
all of it relates to patient safety. And so, that's what's driving these new technologies.
Right, because I know historically digress testing has been done a lot for headspace and so on in the past, but that's very
Absolutely.
outdated and outmoded, isn't it, in terms of the technology that's used?
Yeah, absolutely. Diangrous, microbial ingress, these are all methods of the past. There is some data and some research out there trying to show that microbial and diangrous are still valid and important. Not to say that they haven't worked to some degree, but every research study that's tried to prove that diangrous actually is still relevant isn't using naturally occurring defects. So they're not really framing the issue properly. And so when you really look to what the industry needs, ask those deeper questions, and then look to the methods that are out there today, everything is pointing in one direction, and that's away from destructive and away from these attribute-based test methods,
Right. Okay.
moving to the quantitative, to the non-destructive.
All right. Good. So looking at PTI specifically, I mean, what focus is? I mean, I know you touched on it a little bit, but what's your main focus in terms of the solutions that you're offering then? What you mentioned technology, some of the technologies, but what is your main focus?
So, we've always said, non-destructive test technologies are really what we focus on, but at the very core, it's all about reliability, repeatability, and robustness of that test method.
Right.
If you got those three down, you have a good test method. If it's not reliable and it's not repeatable, forget it. It's not a test method, right? If you say, hey, this test method is sometimes 50% accurate or effective, that is not a test method. And so that's really where we're focusing on is providing reliable test technologies for high risk packaging. I think the newer technologies, high voltage leak detection, they certainly fill a very needed gap in the market for biologics. Biologics are the fastest growing
Sure.
class of pharmaceutical drugs. And in that marketplace, certain technologies like vacuum decay, they don't work as well as they should. And so you go to another technology that will provide that reliability.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So looking at the current situation, obviously with COVID now affecting, we just talked about it, people are off, there's no one's in the office today as well.
Yeah.
How has that impacted you as a business? And also, more importantly, how
Yeah.
have you been able to support both existing customers and inform new customers about the solutions you've got?
Yeah, well, first off, to anyone watching this, I hope that you have felt safe and well. We're here in New York. We're just north of New York City. Not to sound crass or insensitive, but we had freezer trucks on the corner of city streets.
Right.
Okay, that if that doesn't hit home, I don't know what does. So it has affected us as a community and as a team. We've from day one we reassessed the mission, and the mission at the beginning of the year was we're going to get to the end of the year with everyone on this team. That's the goal, not profit, not anything else. Everyone is a member of this team. This year we're actually growing as a company. We're growing as we've been hiring. So we've been expanding. And that business isn't necessarily COVID related. We are responding to COVID related projects. In fact, this past week, we came to the rescue again within 1 week to rescue a project and get a production line, let's say, up and running. And that was a really great experience. But our growth has just been our team continuing on, hunkering down. We've been very flexible in how we've operated. So that's been really great, and really done some nice things that have allowed us to perform. That being said, I think that how has COVID related work affected us, we are seeing an uptick in business in the pharmaceutical industry. It's a lot of this work and concern is around the container, around the supply chain,
Right.
making sure that the drug products are safe. And a lot of our work is involved in the clinical trial phase and in validation of the production setting. So, in that sense, as this COVID warp speed policy is taking place,
Sure.
it's all about the rapid response and making sure that people can deliver the drugs to the marketplace. And with that rapid response, we've actually realigned our mission here to make sure that we can deliver in a very short period of time.
Right.
Right.
And in terms of servicing customers remotely and so on, I mean, do you have, virtual like Zoom presentations or Zoom support, or how do you support your customers currently then during this climate?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of creative things. So the augmented reality glasses
Right.
to
That's
perform some
interesting.
more complex functionality. We're doing a lot of virtual installations, virtual training, virtual calibrations. So we're supporting clients with calibrating their systems. A lot of things that are outside the box. We really have to just ask ourselves, what are our clients, what do they need, right? Their needs have changed. Their concerns have changed. Their objectives have changed. And we always need to play to that objective. So right now, if their objective is to, let's say, have a rapid response, can you get us a machine here? When can you get us a machine here? And the fact that I had a conversation on Friday last week and I have a machine that's going to be delivered today, it's actually getting delivered today for a project, that is what we're talking about. That level of responsiveness, and that's really what we're up to. It's about being here for the marketplace and being able to make a difference, especially in this environment.
Right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's really good to hear. And it's interesting the use of technology like the augmented glasses and so on as well. That's really interesting stuff. So
Yeah.
looking ahead, where do you see the developments happening on the horizon to improve CCI testing? I mean, obviously we
Mhm.
talk about technology and technology is always developing. So what do you see ahead for the future for CCI testing in terms of how that technology actually develops?
Yeah, so I think that, over the last 2 decades, you've seen this sort of race to the bottom where everyone is chasing the smallest possible defect. And, it's a little bit like the auto companies uh, chasing the best horsepower or gas mileage. In the CCI industry, it's all about what leak size can you detect. And that's been a lot of that focus. But really, the future now is how can we make it more practical? Just more simple for that benchtop user, but also faster so that we can get to more automated solutions. So we have some robotic systems that we are making here at PTI.
Right. Okay.
That's focused on automating these parenteral and high risk applications. So I think that the future of PTI and the future of CCIT in general isn't necessarily getting to the most sensitive, but looking at ways to make it more accessible and also increase the throughput and overall inspection capability. So,
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I'm not surprised to hear you say that, because actually, when I talk to a lot of people in the analytical testing equipment area, whether it's the Thermo Fishers of this or the Agilents and the Waters and so on, a lot of their machines, which are very complicated inside the box, have all been very simplified for the lab technicians to use. Anyways, they don't have to have a PhD to use it. They can just press the buttons and anybody can actually use it. So it's interesting that's
yeah.
you going down that road.
And absolutely, our systems are sort of press button. That's the goal, is that we sort of deliver a finished test method. Yes, you can change and adjust the method on the test system itself, but most of them just you can see some of the systems behind me. They have a blue button. You hit that, you're going to get a pass-fail result that's quantitative, and so it's simple enough, but it gives the information that's necessary.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, as a US-based company, you know, is your focus really just North America, or how far afield do you actually service customers?
Yeah. So we've been growing globally for the better part of the 2 decades, and so that growth, what that means is that we're dealing with sales channel partners globally, and over these 2 decades, making sure that you have the right sales channel partners, training them, allowing them to be self-sufficient. We have sales channel partners that are absolutely they're sufficient on their own. They are independent in a way. And so supporting our partners globally is one really important thing. 55% of our business is international. So that's something that, year on year it can change, but that's really where it's at. A lot of growth in Asia and Europe. Absolutely. And, I always say that quality of life, everyone deserves quality of life. Container closure integrity is often tied to quality of life, unfortunately. And so we see growth of that industry in those marketplaces wherever people are focused on quality of life and health. And certainly the discussion globally has absolutely changed in the last 6 months around quality of life and health. And there is a very sharp focus on what we can do to stay healthy and what we need to do. And so, we're going to see this continued growth. Certainly this year has been, again, unprecedented for us. And so it's been good. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look,
Yeah.
I know you're a very busy man and you've come into an empty office just for this. So I appreciate you doing that. So if people want to know more about PTI, how can they find out more?
Yeah, visit our website, www.ptiusa.com. I know USA is in the URS or URL, but we're a global company. That's just the URL that was available back in the 90s. So, but ptiusa.com is the place you'll see videos, a lot of content there, a lot of information. And then certainly the applications engineers are great resources to get a little more information.
Fantastic. Well, look, that's all we've got time for, I know, at the moment. But so, first of all, thank you very much for taking time out. It's been really interesting, Oliver, and thank you for giving me the background on the business. You always learn something new all the time, and I didn't know. I mean, I met your dad a few times. It shows I hadn't realised the history of the business, so that's really good. But also, this is actually, just so people know, the first of hopefully an ongoing series of videos we're going to do and conversation we're going to do about CCIT. And so, if you want to know more, or you've got questions that you may want to get answered in future videos, please feel free to put some comments in the comments box below the video, because I'm sure Oliver and the team would love to see those comments and to respond to them. And as Oliver mentioned, there is a website that you can have a look at, and that link will be above this video so that you can actually click on it and find out more information. So all that's left for me to say, as always, is, Oliver, thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend.
Thank you, Rizwan. It was a pleasure. So
And
much pleasure to be here. Yeah.
thank you very much. And as always, thank you for watching. And as always, stay safe and stay well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.